like to call the Oakland County Board of Commissioners meeting for March 21st, 2018 to order. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioners Berman,
Here.
Bowman, Crawford,
Here.
Dwyer,
Here.
Fleming,
Here.
Gershenson, Gingell,
Here.
Hoffman, Jackson. Jackson. Thank you. Kokendorfer.
Here.
Kowal.
Here.
Long.
Here.
McGilvray. Middleton. Where do you go? All right, I'll come back. Quarles. Spiz.
Present.
Taub. Teets.
Here.
Wiper.
Here.
Woodward. Zach. Middleton. Did he come back in? No. Okay. You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. This evening, our invocation will be given by the Honorable Wade Fleming. I'd ask Commissioner Fleming to come to the podium in the front. I'd ask that you all please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let us pray. Give us grace, Lord, to persevere in prayer for our nation and to repent of our sins which are great before you. For if your people who are called by your name will humble themselves and pray and seek your face and turn from their wicked ways, then you will hear from heaven and will forgive our sin and will heal our land. Lord, help those in authority within our country to make right decisions based on your truth. May you bring our political system servants with a heart like yours to lead our country in the way we should go. We pray that the Lord would help those that watch over our country in every military and civilian position. Quicken all their senses as they provide protection to our citizenry. We ask that our president, his cabinet, and our elected officials at all levels of government would be led by a desire to please the living God. We pray for increased unity in our country, Lord. We pray for wisdom and discernment in this meeting tonight. God, please forgive us where we fail you. These things we pray in your precious name. Amen. 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 Our Father, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll now take a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th, 2018, moved by Kowal, supported by McGilvray. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The minutes have been approved. Now on to the approval of the agenda, and for that I'll call on the Majority Caucus Chair, Commissioner Shelley Taub. Commissioner Taub.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one amendment, please. It is item A, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security Division, Emergency Operations Center and Incident Management Software. This agenda item will be placed on the regular agenda. We are going to waive Rule 3. The resolution was taken up by the General Government Committee immediately prior to today's meeting. With that amendment, I'd like to move the agenda as amended.
Okay, and I'll also make just one administrative change, that the Clarkston football team won't be here this evening, but I'm sure Commissioner Middleton will be bringing them in as they are state champs. I told him if he waits a week or two, he can bring the basketball and football team in together, and it pains me greatly being from Lake Orion. So with that, I'll take a motion by Taub to approve the amended agenda, supported by Bowman. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
On the agenda as amended, Commissioners Bowman.
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Dwyer.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Gershenson. Gingell.
Yes.
Hoffman. Jackson.
Yes.
Kokendorfer.
Yes.
Kowal.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
McGilvray.
Yes.
Middleton. Yes. Quarles. Yes. Spiz.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Teets.
Yes.
Wiper.
Yes.
Woodward. Zach.
Yes.
Berman.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 21 yeas, 0 nays.
21 yeas, the amended agenda has been adopted, and that'll bring us to the communications portion of our agenda. And this is the time in our meeting where we get to recognize special organizations and special individuals within the county. It's also the time that we address unique items through special and specific public hearings. So I'm going to recess the current Board of Commissioners meeting in order to hold a public hearing for the Economic Development and Community Affairs resolution approving the provision of a brownfield plan for the 26700 Wixom Road project, City of Novi. So we'll take public comment, but it's only for this particular matter, for this particular brownfield plan. Is there anyone here to speak tonight on this specific item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on that meeting, and I will open another public hearing for miscellaneous resolution 18061, Public Services, Animal Control and Sheriff's Office, transfer dispatch services from Animal Control to Sheriff's Office, and position deletions and creations. Is there anyone here this evening to speak on this specific matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on that topic, and I'll return back to the normal Board of Commissioners meeting, and we will start with a proclamation, actually a few proclamations that'll be given by Commissioner David Bowman. So I'll recognize Commissioner Bowman.
Thank you, and I'd also like to say thank you, Commissioner Ginja, for allowing me this time to present these proclamations. I'm maybe a little bit over in terms of what is traditionally allowed, but the City of Pontiac has some pretty remarkable individuals, and we want to make sure to give them their due time. If I could get Cole Yoakum for a moment. And so as Mr. Yoakum strolls up here for his recognition, providing a few recognitions this evening related to our Elite 40 Under 40 recipients. The 40 Under 40 class essentially is a group of individuals, 40 particular, that have displayed remarkable impact within not just their immediate community, but Oakland County overall. And Mr. Yoakum is an individual that I've had the distinct pleasure to meet during my networking through the community. First learned of his community-based organization and nonprofit, Micah 6, which essentially has provided some revitalization within a community in Pontiac, providing activities as well as fresh produce and revitalization of a neighborhood overall within the community of Pontiac, and has transitioned that nonprofit agency to actually move even beyond just revitalizing that neighborhood, but purchasing one of our former schools within the community, implemented a fresh produce hop house in the rear of that property, has taken that initiative, opened up a fresh produce facility again in Pontiac, Sprout, and taken that initiative, purchased I believe is a transport bus to work towards providing fresh produce throughout the community. Just has truly set himself as a incredible representation of what hard work, due diligence, and a commitment to your community and your family and your fellow man. And I wanted to just make certain that I had an opportunity to provide recognition to Cole. You are an individual that matriculated from Arkansas and thankfully identified Pontiac as your new home. You have truly made an impact, not on just myself, but the community at large. And the youth, as well as the adults and everyone in between, I think have benefited immensely from your participation, energies, and efforts. And so today, I'd like to recognize Cole Yoakum, one of the 40 Under 40 class of 2018 recipients. And I'm going to read some of this in brief. But whereas we join together and thank Mr. Yoakum for his commitment and countless contributions to the Pontiac community. We congratulate him on his many accomplishments and for the distinguished honor of being selected as a member of the Oakland County Elite 40 Under 40 class of 2018. And now therefore I, Michael J. Gingell, Chairman of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, together with myself and the entire Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim special condemnation to Cole Yocum. We wish him continued success in all future endeavors, and this is attested to this 21st day, March 2018, in the city of Pontiac. And I'm just going to make one additional notation. I make a due diligence to sign each of these proclamations independently. This is the highest honor that I have ability to present, and I present that to you, my friend. Thank you, sir. Next, if I could have Chris Jackson. And in Q, we'll have Dr. Latree Dalton. Latree, I apologize. Latree. I got to get it right before I get you up here. Yeah. And don't be confused, this is not my brother and or twin. He does wear a suit remarkably well, but I'm hopeful that I've given you those notes on that. So Mr. Jackson, yet again, an accomplished individual within our community of City of Pontiac, has been distinguished as being identified as a elite 40 under 40 class member. I had gotten the opportunity to, again, get acclimated with Mr. Jackson in recent memory, actually this past year during his energies and efforts campaigning for the city council. But the reality is that Chris' work and ethic was put into play far, far beyond before his decision and determination to work towards ascending into elected office. Chris Jackson is a true representation of what I find that education, hard work, and commitment can really bode well and produce within a community. Chris Jackson is a graduate of Cranbrook Kingswood, as well as I tell you what, you're more than just a citizen. You're a man of many talents. He focuses succinctly on the youth within our community. And I think that is likely the most and most important and most valuable investment that you can make, looking after those that need that direction and that assistance. He mentors children through a mathematics program that focuses on utilizing sports as statistical analysis, making certain that we attach like-minded activities to progressive opportunities for teaching. He's partnered with Walt Whitman Elementary School to provide second and third graders with music instruction. So again, working towards bridging the gaps between, I think, the older generation or more seasoned generation with our community and making certain that our youth get the exposure that they truly need. Mr. Jackson, again, has demonstrated his commitment to giving back. He has helped Hope College grow within entrepreneurship and created, I think, a number of small businesses of your own, which is something I've learned in and of myself. You could probably give me some tutelage in that area, in that regard. But more than not, I just want to encourage you to continue to serve as an example for the youth within our community, and be mindful in representing that great things come from the city of Pontiac, and you are one of those individuals, my friend. And so again, I'm going to read in brief here. Whereas we join together to thank Mr. Jackson for his commitment and countless contributions to the Pontiac community, we congratulate him on his accomplishment as a distinguished honor of being selected as a member of the Oakland County Elite 40 Under 40 class of 2018. And now, therefore, I, Michael J. Gingell, again, and the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, together with myself and the entire Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim special condemnation to Chris Jackson. We wish him yet again continued success in his future endeavors, and I'll borrow that suit when you're done. All right, and last but absolutely not least, Dr. Lucetri. Luceti. Can I get it right? Can I get it? I'm going to have you. Lucetri. I got it right that time, yeah? Doctor. I know I got that part right. Well, let's make certain we get the title in. Doctor. You know, many of you may already be familiar with Dr. Dalton. Miss Dalton is actually the winner of the Elite 40 Under 40. Now, we're switching roles a little bit here, but recently you actually gave the introduction for our county executive, L. Brooks Patterson, at the State of the County, which was held right in downtown Pontiac at the Flagstar Strand. You know, beyond me being on the stage myself, it was probably one of the most proud moments that I've had as a resident of the city of Pontiac, to be in the heart of our community, to have one of our own on stage presenting the State of the County address and introducing our county executive, and having one of our best and brightest being identified as the elite representative for our community. Again, no better honor and no better pleasure. Just second to this opportunity here. And I'm going to do the due diligence. I'm going to read a bit of your background and your skills and attributes. Dr. Dalton, the winner of the 2018 Elite 40 Under 40, is one such individual, the first woman of color, the first doctor, and the first native of Pontiac at the age of 28, the youngest person ever to achieve this distinguished honor. Dr. Dalton is a shining example of an incredibly driven and talented professional who has excelled athletically, academically, personally, and professionally, and who is committed to giving back to the Pontiac community that she calls home. As a child, Dr. Dalton was incredibly active, participating in Girl Scouts, sports, dance, and the arts. She was very involved with Welcome Missionary Baptist Church, serving as an usher, choir member, and nursery assistant. And she graduated as valedictorian from Pontiac High School in 2007, where she was a 4-year varsity scholar athlete and serving as co-captain for basketball, volleyball, track, field teams. She was class secretary, member of the National Honor Society, the National Honor Roll, Who's Who among high school students, Oakland County's Channel 7 News Best and Brightest, and even earned her special recognition for excelling at sports and academics. Dr. Dalton earned several scholarships, including the Hilda Betzfeld Scholar Athlete Scholarship, the Madame Curie Award Scholarship, and the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Educational Development Scholarship. She graduated summa cum laude from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 2011 with a bachelor's degree in psychology. And at UNC, Dr. Dalton was awarded the Student Service Award, an award for excellence in academics by our Center for Student Success and Academic Counseling. I don't want to short you any recognition, but as you can see from this display, in every aspect of human endeavor, you have been successful. I can say that your future is bright. It is already bright, but I know that your continued energies and efforts are going to excel you into even more phenomenal opportunities. And today, I truly want to take the opportunity of recognizing you as one of the best and brightest within the city of Pontiac and continue to shine as an example for others to follow. Again, I just thank you for being you and representing our community in the best way possible. And I'll read here again in short, whereas we together thank Dr. Dalton for her commitment and countless contributions to the Pontiac community. We congratulate her on her many accomplishments and for her distinguished honor of being selected as the winner of the Oakland County Elite 40 Under 40 class. Dr. Dalton, thank you again for your energies and efforts in representing our community. All right, again, thank you all for your time.
Next on the agenda, we have a presentation from Oakland Community Health Network, an update. So I'll ask Diana Bunchins, the interim CEO, and Christine Burke, the Director of Communications, Community Outreach, to come forward. You can use the podium up here. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diana Bunchu. I am the interim CEO and director of Oakland Community Health Network. I wanted to be able to take and bring a couple updates to you guys about what's going on in our organization. So the first one is one that we have been even asked about tonight, and that is our CEO search. For some of you, you may know that our CEO, Willie Brooks, went to Detroit Wayne Community Mental Health, and we are now in the our board is in the process of searching for a new CEO. They started the process in February, and they are meeting tomorrow to what we think will be finalizing the pool of candidates and set the next steps in that process. The goal is to have a CEO on board, hopefully in April or May. The second item that I want to talk about is a request for qualification for specialized residential and community living support services that we issued last week. Currently, these services are provided by our what we call core provider agencies. So those include Easter Seals, MORC, Community Network Services, and Community Living Services. And we are wanting to bring it back in those delegated functions. One of the reasons why is because we have duplicative administrative layers. So what that means is that we have staff, or I'm sorry, they have staff who do audits, manage the contracts, are evaluating quality, and by us bringing those in, we're going to make sure that we can reduce that oversight in the sense of the duplication. We also want to ensure that we have consistency in service delivery and quality, and we also want to have consistent rates over time. So one of the things that we have found is that rates vary from provider to provider, even if they're contracting with, let's say, Easter Seals or MORC. And finally, we want to make sure that we are promoting choice for the people that we serve. There have been some questions and concerns in the community, including families and providers, that OCHN is rushing this process. In fact, these conversations started back in 2013. For the past 18 months, we have been meeting with our providers on how we're going to be transitioning these folks as they come into contracts with OCHN. We do not want any disruption of services. We also want to keep the provider network intact. Only providers who are currently contracted with one of our providers are eligible to be part of this process. So we are not looking to add any new providers. The only way that we will not extend a contract to someone would be if they cannot meet the home and community-based settings rule, which is a federal mandate. If they don't meet that, then we cannot use Medicaid dollars. So once again, we want to keep everybody in their homes, and we recognize that these are people's homes, and this is people that are being impacted. From a communication standpoint, the RFQ was distributed to 140 existing providers. Information packets were also mailed to approximately 400 homes that people we serve live in. We've had 2 forums scheduled. One is for the families and the people we serve, and the second one is for providers, and there'll be 2 sessions of those, and we actually had 1 session this morning. Information has been sent electronically, including to the Board of Commissioners, to families and to the providers, and is also on our website. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No, I think if that's your concluding your remarks, we want to thank you for coming out and giving us an update. We know there's change going on at Oakland County Community Health, so more communication the better, and we hope that you continue to move forward with your building in Troy and all the other plans regarding putting together consistency in the providers. So thank you.
Absolutely, we are in the building.
Yes, that's great. Congratulations. Well, thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate it. I'll now ask the clerk if there are any other communications to come before us this evening.
Yep, we have a couple tonight. The first is a memo dated March 14th from Jordy Kramer, Director of Human Resources, and Lori Van Pelt, Director of Management and Budget, regarding the required reporting for State of Michigan Public Act 202 of 2017. And they attached a copy of a new annual report that's to be submitted to the State of Michigan Treasury Department regarding the funding levels of the county's pension and retiree health care programs. It's a new requirement as a result of the law and is due to the state within 6 months after the end of the fiscal year. The local unit of government is required to submit the report to the local governing body, but does not require a formal vote of approval or resolution. So I think you all have that at your seats, and if you have any questions, you can contact either Jennifer Hain, Manager at Human Resources, or Lynn Sonkiss, Fiscal Services. The next is dated March 21st, 2018, to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, Commissioner Bill Dwyer has resigned from the Legislative Committee. I am hereby appointing Commissioner Eileen Kowal to complete the remainder of his term ending December 31st, 2018. Sincerely, Michael J. Gingell, Chairman, Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Sorry. And the final one is also dated March 21st, 2018, to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, please be advised that Raymond Tanzos has resigned his position from the Oakland County Public Transportation Authority. I am hereby appointing Chuck Moss to fill the vacancy and complete the remainder of his term ending December 31st, 2018. Your confirmation of this appointment is respectfully requested. Sincerely, Michael J. Gingell, Chairman, Oakland County Board of Commissioners.
Without objection, the appointments will be confirmed and the materials will be received and filed. That'll bring us to the public comment section of our agenda. And it looks like we've got quite a few people here for public comment. So what I'll do is call out a couple names so that you can prepare as you're next in line. We'd ask that you use the microphone in the back and you address your comments to the chair. We also ask that you contain your comments to 3 minutes, and we have a timer to help you do that. If you run over, you'll hear a series of beeps, and we'll ask that you conclude as quickly as possible at that 3-minute mark. So one thing that I'd also say is that with public comment, it's for the public to be able to give their comment. The board is not going to interact or respond. My understanding is there's a lot of folks here tonight regarding the Regional Transit Authority or a plan for an RTA, and we're happy to have you here and provide your comments. But as you probably know, the state legislature in putting forward the legislation for the RTA took this body out of the activity in regards to putting the item on the ballot. And so, as with other items where we have that responsibility with the RTA, we have not. So, with that, we have Virginia Patrick, Laura Lyons, and then David Colton. So, if Virginia Patrick could come forward, please.
Hi, my name is Virginia Patrick. I'm a resident of North Oakland County in Oakland Township, north of Rochester. I have a couple points I want to mention around the Regional Transit Authority. Just want to make you aware of the needs in Oakland County. I have a spouse who is disabled. I have many church members who are also disabled. They are unable to go to my church, for example, and my spouse, when I'm working or traveling on business, is unable to get to certain appointments that she has in Southfield, for example, or Royal Oak. She uses OPC, but that's only limited because she's disabled to disabled people and retirees. So I think it's important. Also, worked with some community groups. We have some teens who go to a group called Upper Room on the weekends. They can't get there without help. It's a community organization to let them be in a safe space for teenagers. They also can't get jobs in the Rochester area unless they have transportation. So that is a big need for any teenagers or young people who are looking for a job. I also work in the IT industry and was, like you, disappointed that Amazon didn't even consider us. So I think it's important for our business competitiveness to really start pushing our leaders, even if you don't have approval, but you know people that you can influence to say, we need transit in the Metro Detroit area, and Oakland County is a part of that. And then finally, I'll probably retire in 10 years, and I see many of you might be retiring. And you might need help someday. And you're not going to be able to get it in Oakland County. And you're going to want to look for a place. You're going to have to rely on family members. Not everyone has that support. I know my church has a group that is called to care, and they help each other. You're going to need that in this county and in this metro area. And I know we have other church members here. The last thing I want to say is that the invocation. I thought I was appreciative. I am a Christian, but I think you ought to consider looking at other denominations to do your invocation if you haven't done that already. Thank you for your time.
Next is Laura Lyons, and one thing that I'll say, if somebody that precedes you makes the comments that you wanted to make, you're welcome to say, I agree with the person that was in front of me that mentioned this, rather than going through all your comments if you choose. So, Laura Lyons.
Hi, I'm Laura Lyons. I was born and raised in Bloomfield for 20 years and now live in Ferndale. I take Smart Bus from my home in Ferndale to my job in Midtown. And I'm actually, my spouse and I have had 2 cars, and once we moved to Ferndale, we were able to sell one. And the amount of money that we have saved from just having that one car has allowed us to have wonderful opportunities and experiences that we would never have had before. And that was a choice we made. We didn't have to make it. I know that there are a lot of people that don't have that ability to make that choice, but I think we want to support an area and communities that allow people to make those financial choices if they're able to. I wanted to also say that if we want to continue to attract and retain young professionals in the area, we need to be able to not only get them places within the community, but understand that they're going to want to go outside of Oakland County, and we should want them to be able to have those experiences, but also to live here. So I think that's the important part. And just the fact that going throughout Oakland County is important, but if we can't find ways in and around our region, which we are a region, we're really not going to benefit, and we're not going to have a sustainable economic future that a lot of us want to stay here for. So, thank you.
We have David Kelton, and then Father Stan, looks like Lowleman maybe. I'm sorry about that, Father.
Thank you. David Kelton, local civil engineer, Southfield resident. I've been active in this issue for over 5 years, starting from an urban planning course at University of Michigan. I live in Southfield. I had a car when I was 16. I'm a driver, but my University of Michigan education switched me in favor of regional transit. As an engineer, I'm an active member, Engineering Society of Detroit, which is actually located in Oakland County. I go to all types of conventions at the Suburban Collection Place in Novi. I'd been recommending some sort of conference. Last week was the Siemens Manufacturing of America conference. A few weeks ago was the foam conference. We got a waste management, wastewater conference, DTE energy efficiency conference, all of these conferences. There isn't such a conference on it. You're considering the issue. I think we could put infrastructure and solve this issue, and maybe combine it with infrastructure. And if it does come to the ballot, that instead of, like last time, a plan that wasn't necessarily so popular, that we'll have pre-thought it out and have a plan that will address the issues and possibly combine the infrastructure challenges also. Thank you.
I'm Father Stan Ullman, pastor of St. Mary of the Hills in Rochester Hills. I moved to Rochester Hills 14 years ago, and I was disappointed to find that Rochester and Rochester Hills have opted out of SMART, and that some people told me that perhaps the reason was racial fears. And I would hope that my better angels would intercede here, because I've found Oakland County to be a very diverse community, and that we need to be part of this whole metro area. And so I'm here to ask you to support public transit. I'm here to ask you to influence the members of the RTA to put it on the ballot in November of 2018. My parishioners are young and old. The elderly say that they need transportation outside of those limits that OPC provides. They need transportation to hospitals and doctors that are beyond Rochester and Rochester Hills. I agree with the comments that have been made here previously by the other speakers, and I certainly want to ask you to support this very important issue that I consider a social issue. It's an issue for the common good, and it's an issue that certainly provides opportunities for everyone, including the people that run the systems, the people that build businesses along the system, people that take advantage of the system for work, for recreation, for medical needs, and so forth. So please consider that proposal of influencing the RTA to put it on the ballot in 2018. Thank you.
Next, we'll have
You don't have to read my name. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And then after will be Pat Hammer and then Molly Gartner. So.
Okay, so my name is Yulia Gaidayenko, which explains your difficulty. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak. I work at an organization that provides paratransit services in this community, and we are located in West Bloomfield. And we are asked to transport people from all over Oakland County to various places, mostly for medical appointments in Detroit, in Ann Arbor, in various hospitals which provide great expertise to this region. But many people are not able to get there without services like ours, and there are not very many of them. There are actually very limited services available to older adults and people with disabilities, people who are not able to drive themselves. And we provide about 130 rides a day, but it's not enough, and especially for people who need to use a wheelchair lift-equipped vehicle, but also for young adults with developmental disabilities who need to get to a program while their parents are at work and are not able to care for them during the day. So I urge you to think about those different populations, maybe somebody you know. I also urge you to think about people like my children, and their friends. A lot of them moved out of Oakland County. A lot of them moved out of Michigan because of transit. Young adults, very many of them, don't want to drive. They want to live close to work, and they want to have a transportation that is convenient and fast and available, and different options they can get somewhere. And if we cannot provide it for them, they're going to move out of this area. I don't want them, and I'm sure you don't want it either. And I'm urging you to think about them as well. You all have connections, and you all have influences in this area. Otherwise, you wouldn't be where you are right now. So I'm really urging you to think about those connections and how you can support your families and yourselves as you age. And you might not be able to drive. People outlive their ability to drive by 7 to 10 years. And that statistics is about 15 years old. As we are now all aging longer, that's going to be an even longer age where none of us are able to drive, and we're going to be all dependent on somebody else. So I urge you to help us build the infrastructure in the system that can get you somewhere as you are not able to drive in the future. Thanks.
You can just pull it down on the top by the mic where you speak. It should just pull down. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Pat Hammer. I'm a resident of Birmingham. I've been an advocate for regional transit for a long time. I grew up in a city with broad transit choices. I've lived elsewhere with public transit available. And so my expectation for a vibrant, diverse urban experience rests on public policy that looks at transit as part of the fabric of the social and economic health of a region. I was taken aback by Brooks Patterson's pledge in his State of the County address to protect voters in certain named opt-out communities from having to vote on regional transit again. These communities are all in the most populated areas of Oakland County, and a look at the 2016 voting results precinct by precinct shows there is a substantial support for regional transit. The 2016 RTA millage proposal failed by the slightest of margins overall. Even Bloomfield Hills voted 49.5% in favor. Now apparently Mr. Patterson wants to protect all of us in Oakland County. More important, protecting people from voting is, I think, an odd concept in a democracy where we are expected to enthusiastically go to the polls and participate in the democratic process. In Connect Southeast Michigan, introduced to the RTA board last Thursday, we have a revision that addresses criticisms of the 2016 master plan in a flexible and service-oriented manner. I ask the elected officials of Oakland County to exercise leadership, to be vocal in their support of investment in our region's economic and social health, and to advocate for a new regional transit millage on the ballot in 2018. Thank you.
We have Molly Gartner, then Kathleen Joseph, and Carolyn Doherty.
My name is Molly Gartner. I live in Madison Heights, Michigan. I am a huge supporter of transit. I agree with everything that's been said previously. I would like to make a couple of points that there are environmental stats I could give of why transit is good for our whole area. There are economic ones. We can look at the fact that Grand Rapids just passed their millage, and they are leaving us behind as an area, as a region for business, for schools, for everything, because they're investing in their buses. And they have a good bus system already, and they're investing more, and we're getting left behind. I have a family of 5 that live in Madison Heights. My son, my husband, and I all work in Detroit. I have a son who attends school in Clawson and college. He's dual enrolled. In Royal Oak, he uses the smart buses at least 3 times a week to get between his high school and his college classes. To do that from Clawson, because of the limited routes, the Main Street bus only runs in the mornings and in the evenings. It doesn't run in the afternoon when he has class. It takes him 3 buses and an hour and a half to go from Clawson to Royal Oak to attend college classes as a high school student. My other son is employed in Troy. We live in Madison Heights. He's employed in Troy, and he attends college at OCC in Rochester Hills. There is no bus that goes in a direct route from the Royal Oak campus to the Rochester Hills campus that takes 2.5 hours by bus because there is no direct route. We need to expand these. There should be routes between the college campuses so that students can take their gen ed classes in Royal Oak, where they live, and take all the engineering classes that are only offered at the Rochester Hills campus. And there's no transportation between campuses. There are classes that are only offered at the Orchard Ridge campus, and there's no transportation. If you attend mainly Royal Oak and you need science classes that are only offered at Orchard Ridge, there is no transportation between the 2 campuses. It's good for all of our communities, and you have influence. We can do this and make a difference for all of our children. Thank you.
I'm Kathleen Joseph. I'm born and raised in Oakland County, and we've lived in Bloomfield Township for the last 35 years. Many of the comments that I've made before are said much better than I can. I can tell you that I like driving a car. I have a car. We're very fortunate in that way. I don't always want to. If I wanted to get to my daughter's house in Ferndale, it would take me 2 buses in an hour and 15 minutes. To get here tonight, it would have taken me 3 buses and 2 hours. That's not a reasonable amount of time for us to be able to get around just within Oakland County. The RTA is a method that we can use to integrate for our economic, for a better way of life for all of the people in our communities. And I'd like to see it on the ballot. See what you can do to push that forward.
So after Carolyn Doherty, we have Rod Schlesman, Andrew Sarpolis.
Carolyn Doherty. I've spent 78 of my 80 years in Oakland County. As a retired nurse, I see the results of lacks of getting to the doctor's office, getting to school, or wherever else you're going to go. I don't have a lot to say. I agree with everyone who has spoken before me. I just want to say, where does respect for human life begin? Right here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Raj Schlesman. I've been a resident of Novi, the opt-out community, for 35 years, which I just recently learned that we are opt-out, and it's kind of a smudge in our city because I think we really need to join everyone else in the metro area and become part of the community. While other cities they're planning, they're funding, they're implementing transit systems, the Metro Detroit area and Oakland County are way behind. And it was said very well by so many people before me, and I really support us going forward and putting this on the ballot. The other comment I had was I was thrilled to see the 3 individuals get the 40 under 40 commendations. I thought that was pretty cool, and I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
All right. Hello there. My name is Andrew Sarpolis. Grew up in South Lyon, went to South Lyon schools, was there for 20 years. I've lived in Farmington Hills and Novi. I debated coming out here tonight, but I thought it was an interesting perspective to share. I'm actually no longer an Oakland County resident. I recently moved to Wayne County, and one of the reasons I did that was because of the public transportation. That's not to say that some areas of Oakland County do not have public transportation at all, and I've actually also considered Ferndale and Royal Oak. But when choosing a location to move, I kind of really got fed up with the transportation situation. I've actually been very involved in this issue for a while, and I feel that there are many other folks like me, particularly younger folks, that are feeling the same way. And you know, I know when Patterson speaks, he's speaking to a particular demographic of people in Oakland County, but I just want you to know, when young people see that kind of stuff on TV, you know, it looks like, you know, a county stuck in the past. It really does. And I think that we need to focus on the future more than ever if we want to get the young people back. You know, I stayed pretty close to home as far as my friends go. Everyone else that went to South Lyon High School, class of '09, moved off to cities that have public transportation, cities that have vibrant infrastructure, and most of them are probably never coming back, quite frankly. I really like Oakland County. I've enjoyed living there. Obviously, I spent over 20 years there. And one day, when I do purchase a house, I would like to think about moving back there maybe. But there has to be, the transportation situation has to be taken care of first and foremost. The other flip side I should say of that is that I'm looking at where I can invest in some property, and I'm looking in Wayne County because of the public transit as well. So from an economic perspective, you know, if people are more and more looking in those counties where the public transportation is there, that's going to hit the county where it hurts, which is tax revenue, property tax revenue. So we need to really think about that, and I just wanted to say that on the record. Oakland County is a big county. It's a tricky problem. I get that, but the future is, I think the case is really settled. You know, you look all across the nation, the case is settled. Transit is the future. And the other thing I want to say really quick, before I forget it, this big scary word a lot of politicians want to avoid is climate change. It's a big issue. We cannot burn fossil fuels the way we have burned them before. We cannot have the same infrastructure we've had before. We need to figure out how to conserve energy. We need to figure out how to be energy independent. And if that does not happen as well, we do not have a bright future. So thank you.
The next speakers are Brother Thomas Zarafa, OFM III, Marge Huggard, James Dale.
Good evening to this august body of representatives, and to my brothers and sisters that are in solidarity sitting in the audience. My name is Brother Thomas Zarafa. I'm a member of the Franciscan community of Southeast Michigan. I am an Oak Park, Oakland County resident since 2001. Prior to that, I lived most of my life in the city of Detroit. I am also the pastoral associate at the parish of Our Mother Perpetual Help, which encompasses 2 campuses, one in Ferndale and the Oak Park campus, formerly known as Our Lady of Fatima. Many of our parishioners that live in the Ferndale campus are able to get to church because of the Woodward bus line. Many of our people that come to the Oak Park campus, the closest bus is 9 Mile, which is half a mile from our church. That poses a big problem, especially for our senior citizens, to be able to walk half a mile just to get to church. And so our attendance is down because of that. If they don't have a car, we don't see them. We have a lot of elderly, a lot of homebound at both campuses also. We're a parish that's known, for our for human justice. And this is a human justice issue. This is not a Democratic issue. It is not a Republican issue. This is about our senior citizens. This is about our youth. They need to be able to get around and to get to the places they want to go to. And we're so far behind. I mean, I was in Cleveland last year for a week. I needed to park my car once I got there. They're half of the size of the city of Detroit. And they have a great public transportation system. Why are we so far behind? Please, Mr. Patterson does not speak for all of the residents of Oakland County. He does not speak for me. So please do the right thing and give us another chance to vote on this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marge Huggard. I'm a retired social worker, and I've lived here for 35 years. I have known people that were poor, people that were rich, people who had educations, and people who had none. I know that what we have to do is we have to give people hope. Hope that they can raise out of their situation, hope that they can find the job that they want, be married, live here, do the things that people normally want to do. Without that, they're stuck. I happen to be one who thinks that if you're really low income, you probably can't afford a car. You probably can't afford the insurance or the repairs. To try and do that and pay the rent and do everything else you're trying to do, it's asking too much, and then we wonder why people fall. It's because our expectation is that they can own a car and they can get where they have to go. They can't. They can't get where they want to go. Not in this county. You've got some brilliant people tonight that have really spoken. I'm so impressed. And when I think about the fact that my nephew, who was born and raised here, moved to Detroit for transportation, and my cousin, who was born here, moved to Grand Rapids because it's the fun place to be, and they have transportation. It blows me away. We are smart, we are sophisticated, we're capable, but we're not doing it. And I hope that you'll join us and understand that we need to have that voice heard from you. It's one thing to say you won't block it, or it's another thing you say, I accept it, but you've got to get behind it, and I hope you will. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is James Dale, and I have worked in Novi for about 10 years. And I'm just going to make one point, which is I'm in the engineering field. I work for an organization that is constantly looking for more and replacement engineering talent. We work really hard to have a productive and talented workforce. We're always going to recruitment fairs at universities, and transportation is an issue when it comes to who we are able to recruit. We lose folks all the time, qualified, good candidates that could be a productive part of our team. We lose them within the region, people that would prefer to live and work in Detroit where they've got better transportation options. And we lose folks to other states for the same reason, that Detroit just is not offering the kind of urban environment and lifestyle that it could. And so I think transportation has another purpose, which is to make the business case for people to live and work in Southeast Michigan. Thanks.
Next, we have Phyllis Livermore, and then it looks like Martin Baum and Sherry Awells.
Good evening. My name is Phyllis Livermore. I've lived in Birmingham for over 50 years. Before that, when I was a child, I spent my life through the 3rd grade in Detroit, and it didn't seem like very many people had cars at all. People rode the streetcar and the buses. I even rode a bus to school for 6 cents one way. And then for years and years in our area, we worked on getting a regional transportation authority so that we would be eligible for the federal funds that went along with forming such a board. And now it seems like not enough people are conceiving of us as a region and not just cities. And that's what a region does, is band together and support each other. And the way we can do that here in today is by supporting putting this issue of transportation on the ballot and allowing people to make the decision to vote to fund public transport. Public transit is really, truly freedom. And a lot of people are restricted from having true freedom because they can't afford a car or they can't afford the insurance. And so you are decision makers here. We're counting on you to use your influence, your decision making to press for regional transit support and funding. And it seems like it should be obvious to everybody by now that no region can thrive without dynamic transportation, well-funded transportation. If Oakland County will take the lead in this, so to speak, it'll benefit not just Oakland County, but our whole region. So I plead with you to use your influence, your decision-making to put this issue on the ballot and let the community choose and vote. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Martin Baum. I'm a lawyer in Royal Oak. I'm an Oak Park High School graduate. This area does not have, this region of Southeast Michigan does not have a reliable, robust, dependable transit system. That's not even up for debate. Young people from North Oakland County, from everywhere in Oakland County, want an urban experience. If they're not going to get it here, they're going to go to other places with a robust transit system that we just talked about, a reliable, robust, dependable transit system. Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Chicago. And so if we want our young people from Oakland County who move to Detroit, to downtown and midtown, and want that urban experience without a car, and we want them to remain here in this area and not move to other places, then we need to have that kind of a reliable transit system. Disabled people, Brooks Patterson, of all people, who has disabled himself from a motor vehicle accident, understands, or should understand, that we need a reliable transit system to get disabled people, injured people, and so on, not just the poor and so on, to get around. He has a transit system. He has got his own transit, his own driver, but most of us don't have that luxury. And so for Brooks Patterson not to understand that is baffling to me. Now, a lot of people have talked about we've got other priorities. Mark Hackle talks about the deplorable roads in Macomb County, and he's right. But one thing to remember, and we've got road issues here, an infrastructure system here, and many people say, well, we can't afford this. But remember this, the places where transit buses or trains or whatever we have, because it's going to be an open system, those roads, those areas will be repaired and brought up to appropriate conditions in order for that so that there will be a certain amount of road repair and infrastructure repair, at least where the transit system runs. Now, we're starting virtually with a clean slate. Everyone understands that our transit system regionally is so poor as to be fundamentally non-existent. So we're open to whatever comes along. It could be Uber, it could be ride sharing, it could be a train, it could be above ground in certain areas, self-driving vehicles. It's an open slate. That's the beauty of the Regional Transit Act, if we can get it on the ballot and people could vote, is that it will be open. We're not bound, range bound by that which we already have, because we virtually have nothing. And finally, the others have spoken about that, and that's the Amazon effect. This is a second-tier region if we don't have a credible, reliable, dependable transit system. We've got to improve ourselves so that we can maintain and bring in the kind of economic activity and producers that we are all trying to get. Thank you.
After Sherry, it will be Nat Zora, Callie Wang, Kristen Milovchik.
Good evening, Sherry A. Wells. I live in Ferndale. If I have to go downtown Detroit, I take the bus. Then I don't have to hassle finding parking and paying for parking and then having to walk to the building I'm going to in the excess heat or the excess cold when the bus can drop me right in front of it, which is really nice. However, one time when my car brakes were too bad for me to be driving, I was going to a friend's wedding at Cranbrook, and I was surprised to be dropped off 1.5 miles away because of this opt-out. Fortunately, it was a nice day. And I just stood at 9 and Woodward thinking, I can see downtown Detroit, I'm going up there, we're all part of one region. And other myths. But even though I'm with this group, I have a project of my own, which is not a protest, because at some point it looks like we may have the ballot again, and we need people to realize there's all kinds of reasons for the mass transit. So I have some signs that are being made. They'll be 18 by 24, bigger than this, but one of them says, "Take me to the ball game." And one will say, "Save gas, save parking." So those are environmental reasons. And this one, when I was telling former Sheriff Hackle about it and got a nice little reaction from him, says, "Have fun, avoid DUI." So it's not just us old people or disabled people. And because these things are in favor of the environment, social justice, and nonviolence, and there's a sign that says poverty is violence, these are tenets also of the Green Party of Michigan. So along the lines of the Burma Shave signs, this will be the closing one.
Hi, I'm Kristen Milovchik. I've lived in Oakland County for over 20 years. I graduated on the stage of Pi Nomina DTE in Clarkston. I got my bachelor's degree from Oakland University, and I'm now going to Wayne State for my master's degree. And I'm doing my internship with Transportation Writers United, which is an advocacy group for transit. And I'm doing research with other people with disabilities across the region. And the reason for that is because I've had many threats to my success and independence over the years due to the lack of transportation options. It is very expensive to get an accessible vehicle that someone like me who has a heavy power wheelchair can use. It's approximately $55,000 to get a vehicle. And for people that are on fixed incomes, that's just not realistic. So I've been doing some research, and I have been interviewing people with disabilities across the region. And what I've been finding is that unanimously, people with disabilities, not just in Oakland County, but across the entire region, want transit. And nationally, the lack of transportation is considered the biggest problem, the biggest barrier for people with disabilities success. And we're also the most underemployed minority. And most of you hear what people with disabilities would call TABS, that stands for temporarily able-bodied, because you all are going to be disabled someday. I hate to break it to you, but the reason it should matter to everyone is because if you are lucky enough to avoid an illness or an injury that limits your ability to drive, we all age. And I hope that when that time comes that you're no longer able to drive, that we have a transit system that you're still able to be active and still do the things that you love to do, still see your families, and still enjoy life and not be suffering like the people in Oakland County that have disabilities that are unable to contribute and be viable members of their communities. Thank you.
So I'll recognize Nat Zora, Callie Wang, and then Colleen Crossy.
Good evening. My name is Nat Zorak. I'm an adoptive resident of the city of Detroit, and I work in community and economic development. One of the projects that I'm working on right now is basically a regional stakeholder survey to address the transit issue. And what I found is pretty much most of the people that I'm talking to are pretty interested in getting this thing on the ballot. They want everybody to be talking about this. But nobody's really sure what's going on. People tell me that it's crucial for talent attraction and talent retention. This comes from everyone ranging from the automakers to healthcare to higher education, etc. People have comments about basically how investment in transit demonstrably delivers more benefit than it costs, can deliver improved health outcomes by lowering costs of healthcare, by potentially lowering healthcare premiums. I got rid of my car in December, and I, realized that I'm not only saving several $100s a month, but I'm also in the best shape I've ever been in because I have to walk so far to get a bus. I was fortunate enough to get a ride here tonight from Royal Oak, but door to door from my house, it would have been about a 3-hour trip. I grew up in a town that has public transit, and so moving here 3 years ago, it was sort of alien to me to not be able to take a train, to Ann Arbor or to Pontiac or wherever I wanted to go. We have a county executive in Oakland, obviously not the county that I live in, but a county that I spend, in that regard, a substantial amount of money in. We have a county executive in Oakland County who has been pretty openly hostile to the idea of public transit and has been pretty opaque in the process of planning. And so I'd like to encourage everybody here to demand accountability for that and transparency in the planning process. I think it's something that's just absolutely critical to move our region into the, I guess you could say, the 21st century. We can't all drive Ford F-250 into the sunset. Some of us have to actually, think about what this is going to mean for having a dense, functional, and vibrant community, or a series of regionally united, dense, functional, and vibrant communities. So I'd encourage everybody to demand this kind of accountability from government, and let's all figure out how to get it done. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Are you guys here? Okay. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Callie Wang. I live in Royal Oak. I work as an engineer for General Motors in Warren at the Tech Center. I actually moved here a few months ago from the Bay Area, San Francisco region in California. Maybe one of 5 people to make the same move. This is my first job out of college. I was really excited. I came here knowing not a single soul, and people in Michigan have kind of blown me away with how warm and friendly and welcoming they are. And I feel truly blessed to have come here. But one thing I noticed, first thing I got here, I didn't have a car, and I had to get one. So getting around without a vehicle is very difficult. I had to call in favors, take Uber everywhere. I took Smart once, but it ran once an hour and could not work with my work schedule. And I was fortunate enough to have a route within walking distance. That's why we need a better public transit system. There's been a lot of talk about the costs and the size of the tax area, and that's very important. We need to get those details right. But there's been less talk about how we can use transit to make Oakland County better and how to make our lives better. We need a better way to get around without having to worry about parking or gas or surge prices or car insurance. And we need a system where a train or bus is just a few minutes away, no matter what time of day it is. And that's the reality for cities across the USA. Good transit can be like a friend who's always there for you. It's a friend that I always think about when I'm stuck in traffic on the 696 in a construction zone. And it's a friend I'll be thinking about greatly when they close the freeway entirely for some very needed repairs. I believe that Oakland County has a true opportunity to innovate and to lead the conversation on how to create a transit system for the whole county, for the whole region, that's efficient, timely, useful, and yes, joyful to ride. Thank you very much.
Colleen Crossy.
Hello, my name is Colleen Crossy, and yes, a lot of people who came before me, I agree wholeheartedly. I live in Novi right now. Some of you know that. A lot of times when people run for election, they always say the phrase, well, we need to move ahead our particular community, but we can't move ahead unless we can have our people move around. And I do agree with the engineer from ITC, who is ITC is a big company in Novi, and we do need to help them out. Honestly, they have a whole park named after them. We need to keep people in our communities, especially people that contribute so much to our communities. There are communities around the world, like big cities, like I'm very comfortable going there without transportation. Like I take the train to Chicago. They've got all kinds of wonderful transportation. I can take the train to Toronto. Same thing there, very comfortable with the transportation they have there. London, that also has, but I can't take the train there, but it's got a wonderful variety, different kinds of places that you can get around that way. And then also I was talking to some neighbors who were really bummed out about the fact that the Detroit Edison is cutting down the trees because of the wires and things like that. And I had the suggestion that perhaps we can bury these wires in like underground tunnels so that they don't have to have as much maintenance. And then when storms come, they don't get blown down so easily, and then also the maintenance, it'll be indoors, so you can take care of them easier. And then also we're going to have optical internet connection. We desperately need that to move forward. And if we bury those lines as well, they can be more easily maintained. So I was thinking that also we can have these tunnel-like things as well for for transportation to like have kids avoid the intersections. We have a lot of busy roads in Novi, but that's another idea. I think that's about it. Oh yes, and for kids to get around, I'm a mom, proud mom of 2 teenagers, and I'm driving them everywhere. I mean, it's so time consuming, it's exhausting. So it would be very helpful for moms as well. Thank you.
So those are all the individuals that signed up for public comment. At this time, I'll recognize anybody that didn't get a chance to sign up that would like to speak, if there is anyone in the audience. Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and we'll move on to the remaining items on our agenda, starting with the reports of standing committees. I'll take a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, moved by Fleming, supported by Gershenson. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
On the consent agenda, sorry, Commissioners Crawford?
Yes.
Dwyer?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Gershenson? Gingell?
Yes.
Hoffman? Yes. Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Kowal? Yes. Long?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Quarles? I think she left. Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Teets?
Yes.
Weipert?
Yes.
Woodward? Zach?
Yes.
Berman?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 19 yeas, 0 nays.
19 yeas, 0 nays. The items on the consent agenda have been approved. So we'll move on to our regular agenda, and I believe we have one committee to come before us this evening, which is the General Government Committee, with the item that was added as an amendment to the agenda. So I'll call on the chairperson of our General Government Committee, Commissioner Christine Long. Commissioner Long.
Okay, we just have the one item, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security Division, Emergency Operations Center, and Incident Management Software refer to finance.
So I'll take a motion by Long, supported by Woodward, to adopt the resolution. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, you're just referring it to finance. All right, we'll refer to, I was reading the last sentence on the resolution, sorry. We'll refer it to finance without objection. Sorry about that. Anything else?
Oh, that is it. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the reports of our regular agenda. We have no special committee reports. We do have 2 orders, special orders of business, and there is a motion to discharge miscellaneous resolution 18063, Board of Commissioners support of Michigan House Bill 4706, Extreme Risk Protection Act.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to introduce or give notice to discharge until the next meeting, because it has come to my attention that Sheriff Bouchard is working with the representative that is in the author of this red flag legislation. So in the spirit that hopefully something will come out of that discussion, I'd like to postpone till the next meeting.
Okay, so there's no requested action this evening, and we'll note that there is a request or motion to discharge for the next meeting. That'll take us to the next item, and motion to discharge miscellaneous resolution 18064. Board of Commissioners call for action by the United States Congress and the Michigan Legislature to protect students from gun violence. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to give notice to discharge. Would like to move to discharge a miscellaneous resolution 18064, and then after a second, speak to that motion.
So there's a motion to discharge. Is there support? Supported by Gershenson. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this resolution was introduced a while ago, and unfortunately we haven't been able to give it a proper hearing and forum, which is why I am asking for the notice to discharge today, in part because of timeliness. This weekend is going to mark a historic event that I think everyone here knows. In Washington, D.C., the March for Our Lives, where young people, young students around this entire country are rallying a nation for stricter gun safety laws to keep America safe. Now, here's the deal, that it is sad that such a national tragedy, like what happened in Parkland, created the impetus for this motion, for this action. Here we are, 11 weeks into this year, and there's been at least 17 school shootings across this country. And thank God, none here. That as an epidemic, gun violence is an epidemic in this country. That every day, 46 children and teens are shot. Every day, 7 children and teens die from gun violence. Every day, 318 people in America are shot. 96 people die from that gun violence. On average, every year, 17,000 children and teens are shot. And what is it going to take for us to start doing something? So the March for Our Lives has been organized in the wake of, frankly, an inaction and a failure of the grown-ups. When the Parkland tragedy happened, and I've shared this with many of you already, that I was afraid we would move back into a state of numbness in which it's another school shooting and we move on, we forget about it until the next school shooting. But there is hope that's happening right now, and to deny it is to not be paying attention, because I am probably more hopeful than I've ever been to address this issue ever since Columbine, frankly, that we have, that there is a movement to take action, and it's being led by the next generation that gives me so much hope and promise for what's to come. So I'm asking for support to discharge from committee this resolution, in part to show our support for these young people taking the lead in the March for Our Lives. That's not just happening in Washington, D.C., but it's happening in communities all across this state, gatherings happening all across this county. It is long overdue. It's the least we can do. Young people are asking for us to support them. Our students are asking for us to support them. The least we can do is demonstrate our support for them as they demonstrate this coming weekend. And for myself, as a father of 2 young girls, that I am committed, at the very least that I can do is give not only support to this, but to give voice to this every moment I possibly can until we get action. For we've gone too long without action. This is literally the least one can do to express our support. And I ask for your vote to discharge so that we can take this issue up today in recognition of the March for Our Lives that's happening on Saturday.
Okay, so there's a motion and support to discharge the item. We are not voting on the content of the item. We're voting on the motion to discharge, which is the request to take it up this evening versus through our normal committee process. So if there's no other discussion, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioners Fleming,
No.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell,
No.
Hoffman, Kokendorfer,
No.
Kowal,
No.
Long,
No.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Middleton,
No.
Quarles, Spiz,
No.
Taub,
No.
Teets,
No.
Weipert,
No.
Woodward,
Yes.
Berman,
No.
Bowman,
Yes.
Crawford,
No.
Mr. Did I have everybody? Mr. Chair, you have 5 yeas and 13 nays.
5 yeas, 13 nays. The motion to discharge has failed. We'll move on to unfinished business, which we have none, and now on to new and miscellaneous business, which I do know there are a couple resolutions to be introduced. So we'll start with Commissioner Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a miscellaneous resolution that's in opposition of the Michigan Senate Bill 523 and Michigan House Bill 5134 that amends the State Convention Facility Development Act. And I'm requesting suspension of the board rules for immediate consideration under new business.
Okay, so there's a motion to suspend the rules by Crawford, supported by Weipert. It's a non-debatable motion. I'll ask the clerk to call the rolls on suspension of the roll on the suspension of the rules.
Commissioners Gershenson? Gingell?
Yes.
Hoffman? Yes. Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Long? Yes. McGilvray? Yes. Middleton?
Yes.
Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Teets?
Yes.
Weipert?
Yes.
Woodward?
No.
Berman?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 1 nay.
17 yeas, 1 nays. The rule's been suspended. Now, on the topic itself, I'll take a motion by Crawford, supported by Weipert. Any discussion? Commissioner Woodward.
I have something to say. The significance and seriousness of this issue that we are taking consideration, suspending the rules to take up today, is nothing. It is stupid. It's actually not even moving, and yet we can't create the space to have the conversation to combat gun violence in our schools in America. It's shameful.
So we'll keep the comments germane to the resolution. Any other discussion? Commissioner Crawford.
I just want to let everyone know, many of you co-signed this, but it is a result of our legislative ad hoc committee members, myself, Commissioner Taub, Commissioner Woodward, who I thought signed this, Commissioner McGilvray, Commissioner Dwyer, and Commissioner Kowal.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the resolution.
Commissioners Gingell?
Yes.
Hoffman? Yes. Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Teets?
Yes.
Weipert?
Yes.
Woodward? Berman?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Gershenson? Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
18 yeas, 0 nays. The resolution's been adopted. I have one.
Commissioner Gingell.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to request to suspend the rules to take up an item regarding Auburn Hills dispatch contract.
We have a motion by Gingell, supported by Long. It's a non-debatable motion. As clerk, please call the roll.
On suspension of the rules, Commissioners Hoffman? Yes. Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Kowal? Yes. Long?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Teets? Yes. Weipert?
Yes.
Woodward? Berman?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Gershenson? Gingell?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
18 yeas, 0 nays. Rules have been suspended. Commissioner Gingell.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the resolution regarding Sheriff's Office revised police and fire dispatch service agreement with the City of Auburn Hills, April 1, 2018 through March 31, 2021. And as mentioned, it's a small relative administrative change where the original contract had 52 full-time police officer equivalents in the City of Auburn Hills, which is what the rates are based off of. And the City of Auburn Hills actually has 50, so we're reducing the contract by 2 FTEs. That's what this resolution does.
Moved by Gingell, supported by Long. Any additional comment on the resolution? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioners Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Quarles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Teets? Weipert?
Yes.
Woodward? Berman?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Gershenson? Gingell?
Yes.
Hoffman? Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
18 yeas, 0 nays. Resolution has been adopted. Commissioner Gingell.
Thank you. Is there any other new or miscellaneous business to come before us this evening, or any announcements? Commissioner Taub.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to make a quick statement about when we voted against Senate Bill 523. What that bill actually does is say that we do not want, our resolution, we do not want that bill to pass either in the House or Senate, because if that bill passes, Oakland County and every other county in this state, Oakland County, Wayne County, and Macomb County, excuse me, will lose their mental health dollars to build a convention center in the Upper Peninsula. I don't think we want that to happen. I thought that was a very important vote. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other new or miscellaneous items, Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, to respond to that, we also know that this bill is not moving. This bill does not have support. This bill will do, I mean, it's not going to become law, and there is no risk to anything. And so if we all felt good by passing out something that deals with a convention tax thing that someone, one person up in the UP who says, hey, I want a ski ramp, and yet we can't have a conversation about gun violence, and then you make that the important vote, you're out of touch.
Any other comments this evening, announcements, or miscellaneous business? Seeing none, I'll announce that we're adjourned to April 19th, 2018 at 9:30 a.m. or at the call of the chair. We are adjourned.
Excuse